Welcome to Queers and Quills, the official podcast. I'm audiobook narrator Kirt Graves. Every episode, I invite an attending author or narrator to join me for a one-on-one conversation about their lives and their art, so attendees and readers from across the world can get to know them not only as professionals, but as people. Joining me today is Heather Nix. Heather Nix writes magical lesbians. Born and raised in sunny San Diego, California, she longs to return to the forests of the Pacific Northwest. She's the mother of 2 human and 3 cat children and enjoys tattoos, tabletop RPGs, and creating feminist art in her limited spare time. I understand, limited spare time. Heather is passionate about writing queer fantasy and strives to create nuanced characters who resonate with underserved communities. She can usually be found hunched over her laptop, taking a hot bath, or bouncing around the San Diego culinary scene with her partner. That sounds like fun. Welcome to the podcast, Heather Nix.
Hello. I need to update that and include my 6 tarantula children also.
Ooh. Well, now we know. 6 tarantula children. What was the impetus for that?
I saw them online and got in a weird hole of researching tarantulas because I was mildly weirded out by them, and somehow it turned into I need to own this.
Was it all 6 at one time?
Within a couple weeks.
Wow.
It was 2 and then it was 2 and then
how do the human and cat children feel about the giant spiders now living in their home?
The human children like them. The cat children are not permitted in this space, so they don't know they exist.
That's probably for the best. Well, welcome to the podcast. It's lovely to get to meet you and to find out more about you. So in that spirit, can you tell me more about how you became a writer, an author? What's your author origin story?
I have been writing since I can remember. I wrote a Clifford the Big Red Dog fairy tale when I was 4, and it really never stopped after that. I have a lot of friends who are indie authors, and I started kind of reading more indie and thought, man, I really would love to read something like this, but with women. And I couldn't find it, and so I decided I would write it, and now I can't stop, so.
Yeah. What were some of the things that you were reading that didn't have those characters in it? What were the stories that you were attracted to?
All the standard kind of romantasy. That was my first book. It's a high fantasy romance, but it's very romantasy adjacent. And when kind of the romantasy bubble burst and every book was fae and mates and wings, and I was like, man, this would be so cool if it was women. So, and then I sat down at my computer one day and I wrote 12,000 words in one sitting, and I was like, oh, wow, I could do this. Okay.
Yeah. Would love to relate to that. Have yet to sit down and write 12,000 words.
I haven't done it since, if it's any consolation.
It is, actually. That helps. Thank you. Did you ever read The Magicians by Lev Grossman?
I haven't read it, but it's on the shelf.
Oh, okay. This is not a spoiler, but when the hero discovers his abilities, he has this amazing burst of magical power, and then discovers that once you have that first burst, that then you actually have to do the work of using it and gaining it and building up the muscles. And it reminds me of that. I need my initial burst, and then the superpowers eventually come back as you train them. So
yes, but much slower.
How long ago was that?
I published Woodborn in 2022, I believe. And I wrote it in about 6 months. So I started writing it at the beginning of 2022, and I published it in December.
Wow. So you're still very new in this author journey.
Yeah, on this side of it for sure. On the reader side of it, no. But in terms of actually publishing, I've been around just about 3 years.
Okay. Yeah, I'm curious about like what lessons you've learned in that time coming in at this phase of like because it's a weird time to be an indie author, right? Like that you're almost catching like the back end of the bubble. And
Yes.
now we're experiencing like some setbacks and some people who are like opposed to doing the Zon, which I totally understand, but at the same time is very difficult to try to like sell yourself, you know? And also we're now living in the times that we are living in as queer people trying to sell our stories. So like, how has that been?
I think the like number one thing I've learned is to not have expectations, because if you have bad expectations, they come true. If you have good expectations, they don't always happen how you think. And so having a very open and kind of what will find me philosophy has been a lot healthier, I think, for me than when I began and I was like, oh no, like this book did really, really well. My book's a lot like this. It'll totally do well. And then I was like, oh wait, just kidding. It's lesbians. They won't get sold. So, and also to buckle down your market and like know exactly who you're writing for and make sure that that community is a community that you are either involved in or that you want to be involved in forever.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good advice. I mean, it's a great reason to come to Queers and Quills too.
Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. Are you so it sounds like you're from the Pacific Northwest originally?
No, I'm from San Diego.
Okay. We just long for the Pacific Northwest.
Yes, I lived in Western Washington for 4 years, and it was amazing, and I loved every second of it. And then I had to move back here and was just immediately sad. I was like, there's no rain, there's so much sunshine, it's hot, everything's dirty and like dusty. I want trees.
Yeah.
I'm not meant for this.
It's a truly beautiful part of our country. Are you going to get some time when you go to Queers and Quills to like get out and see the forest?
Yes, and my cousin lives in Portland, so I'm going to be spending part of our trip with her. And so I get the added, benefit of seeing family that I never see, and then also being in my favorite place in the world. So
yeah, it's gonna be great. I guess I can call him my cousin. It's through marriage. So like my husband's cousin once removed lives in Portland, but I'm really excited to get to spend some time with him because he's like the only other queer person in that side of the family. So, and of course he lives in Portland.
My cousin that I'm staying with is like my family is, that side of the family rather, is originally from like the deep South. And so I have two cousins that ended up like wildly liberal leftist, and she is one of them. So
yep. That's awesome. Have you been to a conference like this before?
I did a Polycon last year, which is huge and was very overwhelming. It has like 2,500 attendees or something like that. And it was my first book convention as a writer rather than as an attendee. And it was a lot. It was fun. I was on a queer panel. I had a great time. I sold everything I brought. But I wish I would have started with a smaller event.
Yeah, I have yet to go. Part of it is the sheer size of it. Like, I definitely have some agoraphobia, and like I get very anxious in large groups of people. Even Queers and Quills, like I've warned some people that like, you may think I'm an outgoing person because like I do the podcast and I'm very like I'm comfortable in this sort of situation, but like put me in a room with actual other human beings and like I will clam up for the first 24 hours. I
am a really good pretend extrovert. So while I am screaming inside that I want to go sit in a dark, quiet space, I'm really good at like pretending to be extroverted. So I just have to have reset time afterward to come back to reality.
That's a really important thing. I hope people who are listening to this understand that like sometimes we need reset time, or in my case, like rev up time. Like it it sometimes just takes a little while. So if you do approach us and we don't seem like the most friendly, awesome people, like especially like our online personas, which we get to perfectly curate before we put it out in the world, like please do not take that personally, and please come back at another time.
And please don't message me after anything for a solid like 3 hours, because I'm probably sitting in the pitch black silence of my hotel room.
Fair. Yeah. So if somebody was coming to your work for the first time, actually, you know, before we even get to that, I want to know more about this first story you wrote that only took 6 months. And like,
and it's my biggest one too.
Right. It was like, you use the word like epic fantasy, or like, that means a lot. So like, what is that about?
So it's actually the result of a failed D&D campaign. I designed this character. The DM had this world built. I had my backstory written, and then it didn't happen. And I was like, I can't just let this go. Like, I feel like this is something that I need to follow through. And so I decided I was going to turn it into a book. And I had like 6 bullet points in my phone, in my like notes app, that were like, this is what happens, then this, then this. And I was like, it's an outline. Let's do it. And so I did. It's a very like, I don't want to say classic high fantasy, but it's definitely more what I grew up reading than what's in right now. And it is a little bit darker. I have a different understanding of what constitutes dark than a lot of other people. So I didn't think it was dark until I published it. And I was like, oh, sorry. But it's lots of magic and kind of if you think the bad guy from Hunchback of Notre Dame, put him in a fantasy setting and make him way worse kind of villain. And I think it's a lot of fun. It ended up being a duology with an optional novella as well.
Okay. Love that. And so what's your more recent work?
My most recent release is called Currency and Flesh. It is a extremely dark romance that follows a woman kind of reclaiming her power and getting revenge on her abusive spouse.
Nice. So if somebody was coming to your work for their first time, where would you point them? What would be the best place to go?
I always ask people what their favorite book is before I do that, because I refer to myself as a multi-genre author. The only thing that connects all of my books is that they all contain some variety of magic or paranormal element, and they're all FF couples.
Okay.
I have the high fantasy series. I have a super cute, low stakes, kind of cozy rom-com that has a pastry chef and a demon. And then I have the like extremely filthy, smutty, dark romance. So they are all very different.
The filthy and smutty isn't what makes it dark, right?
No.
Okay. Say, I love filthy and smutty, but it can be across the spectrum.
Yeah, it is very filthy, very smutty, and very, very dark. So
and also dark.
Yes, I warn. I'm like, please check triggers, and then check them again, just in case.
Right.
Twice.
Yeah. And if you don't feel like reading it, buy the book anyways, because, indie author.
It's pretty. You can just put it on
if you just want something pretty, that's
got a pretty girl on it.
Yeah. All right. So I have also invited you here to play a game. Are you ready for that?
I'm ready.
All right. So the rules of the game are simple. So I have a deck of cards, and on each card is a question. These questions aim to learn more about you. Some are biographical, some are hypothetical, some are just silly. But I will not be picking which questions you're going to answer. Fate's going to do that for us. So I'm going to deal 3 cards every round, and you get to choose one. Whatever card you pick, you are agreeing to answer, but you have a couple of escape hatches that you can go through. So if a question comes along that you don't want to answer, you can turn the tables on me one time and tell me to answer it instead. Or you can also discard a personal question in favor of a more bookish question from the white deck. But then you only get one card and you have to answer it. So, ready to play?
I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. Card 1, card 2, or card 3?
Let's do 3.
All right. If humans came with a warning label, what would yours say?
Warning, 0 filter.
Oh, I like it. I like it. I wish I could do that.
I've gotten much better.
People think I have no filter. They don't understand what's being held back.
Yeah.
They don't.
I've gotten much better. I've gone from having like absolutely no way of containing the words that want to come out of my mouth to holding back like a large portion of them, but some of them are still out of my grasp.
Yeah, what can you do? All right. Card 1, card 2, or card 3? Which talent that you don't have would you most like to have?
Art.
Really?
Everybody, when I go to like particularly local book events, everyone always asks like, oh, did you do these covers too? And I like hysterically cackle because they're like beautiful, like wonderful art. And I'm like, absolutely not. I sure did not.
Yeah.
I'm really good friends with a lot of the kind of like well-known bookish artists. And I'm perpetually just like astonished at what they're able to do. And they're like, oh yeah, I just sat down for 5 minutes and here's this like beautiful thing that I sketched out. What do you think? And I'm like, I couldn't do that in 6 months.
Are they trained artists?
Some, but some of them just have natural talent. And even the ones that are trained, they have just naturally occurring talent that I wish I had.
Yeah. I'm very much the same. I wish I had more. I mean, I worked as a graphic artist for several years, so I feel like I have an idea of like design and shape and function and color, but it's all with the tools of a computer. And there's a part of me that's like, I really wish I would have had more training in just drawing. Like,
I'm not a bad artist, like in the grand scheme of things in the world. I'm not a good artist, but I'm not like horrible. I paint and I paint miniatures and I sculpt small things and I'm very crafty and creative. But when it comes to like human anatomy and like shading and like light I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, here's my cool cartoon. It looks like it's from Steven Universe. I hope you like it.
Yeah. And I'm sure people do. I would like that. Yeah, I blame the school system that I grew up in because, like, I was one of those kids who was identified very early as, like, advanced and put in, like, the programs where, like, you're doing the advanced stuff and extra work. And I was so discouraged from doing, like, the fun extracurriculars by the time I had that chance. Like, I didn't take any art classes in high school, and I would have loved that. And I barely took a language because it was like, it just wasn't encouraged. Like, it was like, do your math, do your sciences, do your AP courses, the writing courses that are AP, like do all of that. There was no AP art.
Yeah.
You know, I wish I would have had time.
I got pulled out of my elementary school, like general populace, and there was a program that was called the art docent program. And they like identified kids that they thought would be good artists and pulled them into this like twice a week like art program, and then never did anything with it after that year. And so I was like, oh man, I'm gonna be an artist, and then never got any better. So I'm still stuck in like 3rd grade Heather talent, and I'm taking a language right now and I'm horrible at it and it's miserable. Oh, really? So you are not alone.
Well, at a certain point I think our brains are just like, no thank you, no more new input.
Yep, 100%.
All right, card 1, card 2, or card 3?
Let's do 1 again.
Okay. If you were a villain or criminal mastermind, what would be your calling card?
Definitely be something involving words. I would probably write some ridiculous, like, vocabulary-laden phrase that people had to deconstruct to find out what the heck I was saying.
Yeah.
Or I'd, like, cut up paper and leave creepy little words pasted somewhere. It would be word-related.
Yeah. I feel like I would be some sort of take on the Riddler.
Yeah.
Because of that. Like the fun would be in coming up with the little riddle that you leave for them to figure out who you are and what's about to happen.
That would be fun.
Yeah. All right. Card 1, card 2, or card 3?
Let's do 2.
2. Do you have a favorite t-shirt? And if so, what's on it or what does it say?
I'm going to turn this on you because I feel like you'll have an interesting answer.
Oh, I'm just not a clothes gay. So
So
I'm
you just
gonna
you act like a guy that would like have cool t-shirts.
I'm gonna super disappoint you because I'm not. I buy like plain t-shirts on Amazon and like either decorate them myself or just leave them plain. So like my latest cool thing is I've been adding like pockets to t-shirts,
That's cool.
like with old fabric that I bought like 20 years ago when
That's
I was like,
cool.
I'm gonna make some pillows out of these. And then I never did. And the fabric has followed me through like 3 apartments and 2 houses. And I was like, I'm gonna make a fucking pocket and put it on this t-shirt. So like that's
Cool.
probably the coolest thing.
Yeah, I mean, my t-shirts are all like either political or like the same color pink and the same cut. So
Yeah. Yeah. If I had to pick a favorite t-shirt, it's actually one that I just like bought on Amazon purely because it was my birthday and I wanted something to wear for a podcast that said birthday boy. And so it says birth gay boy.
that's
But it's
excellent.
the most comfortable, well-fitting t-shirt I've ever bought. And I was like, how do I buy more of these?
I have this one that I literally have been sleeping in. It says, "We'll trade racists for refugees."
Amen.
But it is the softest shirt.
Like, right? Right? Like some of these, like that shirt showed up and I was like, you have no right being this comfortable and amazing. I did not pay enough money for this quality of t-shirt. And I'm sure if I tried to order it again, it would come like from some other supplier. It would get printed in some other location and it wouldn't be the same. It's just like, oh, magic. Okay, card 1, card 2, or card 3?
Let's do 3.
Have you ever had a weird Uber or Lyft experience? Or I guess any rideshare app?
I wouldn't necessarily say weird. I've had some very booze-fueled, interesting experiences. My partner and I went down to we love going to kind of all the fancy cocktail bars here, and we have a really good craft cocktail scene, so they're everywhere. And we went down to one and ended up on the beach, and she was like, I just want to lay in the sand. And like laid in the sand, and she has short hair and it was like full of sand. And we got picked up by an Uber that was a minivan, and she was like dropping sand everywhere and also trying not to throw up in the Uber. And so at one point she rolled down the window and stuck her head out like a dog, and sand was like flying into the back seat. And the Uber driver, he was like, until we got to my house and my bed was full of sand.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like if you had to do that, though, a minivan was like the place for that to happen because somebody who owns a minivan has experienced sand and mess.
I was like, worst case scenario, like we have to pay a cleaning fee because you throw up in this minivan, but also it's a minivan and I feel like these are designed for people to throw up in them and be cleaned.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, card 1, card 2, or card 3?
2.
What are you currently curious about?
That is an interesting question. What am I currently curious about? I have a weird, yes. I am currently curious about one specific, very niche thing.
Okay.
The book that I'm working on right now is set in Los Angeles, and it's kind of centered around this one building. And it's centered around that building because that's the one building that has like identifiable gargoyles in this area of Hollywood.
Okay.
And it's been around since I think it was built in 1918 and opened in like 1928. There are 0 photographs of the interior of this building. It's been a bank. It's had movies filmed in it. It's had like, it's a very famous building in a very famous area. And there is a single photo from like when they opened that shows the interior of the building, and there are no others. There's no information about it. There's nothing. And it's been closed since 2008 for no reason.
Huh.
And it's in like the busiest area of Hollywood. So I'm like, why? Like, I have so many questions and no one to ask them to. So, but luckily I can just make up whatever I want because there's no photographs inside.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't be wrong. I want it to be the show Gargoyles from when I was a kid.
So
the reason people can't go in there is because the gargoyles come alive at night.
That's my book.
Yes.
It is lesbian gargoyles in Hollywood. It'll be fun.
Sold. Let me know when it's out. All right, I think we have time for a couple more rounds. So, card 1, card 2, or card 3?
3.
Okay. Have you ever been bitten or attacked by an animal? If so, what and why?
I was bitten on the lip by a snake.
Oh.
At one point.
Okay, yeah, that counts.
I was not particularly bothered by it. Like, I've had reptiles and weird animals my whole life, and she was a nippy snake, and I knew it would eventually happen, but their fangs like hook backwards.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to get them off. So I had to like shove the whole snake's head into my mouth, which was the least pleasant part of it.
Right.
But she was just kind of snappy, and I made the mistake of letting her up by my face. So
yeah. It's nice that you didn't blame the snake for acting like a snake.
The snake's brain is like the size of my fingernail. Like, I have low expectations.
I feel the same way about most men. Card 1, card 2, or card 3?
Let's do 2.
What is your most treasured possession?
Probably, if you were thinking like, there's a fire, let's go. The thing I think I would grab first, I have a copy of my favorite book that is signed and like inscribed to me, and she drew a little doodle in it, and it's a first edition hardcover, and it's by Erin Morgenstern, and she has not written many things, and so I think that's probably my most treasured thing, because there are so few books of hers to covet, and to have one that's like personally inscribed and has little doodles and stuff in it, it's a very treasured item of mine.
Absolutely. That seems like a put it in a safe item.
I have like a basically library in my room.
Yeah.
So
it's very cool.
They all just live here. Okay. I also have every single thing Leigh Bardugo has ever written, and I have like all the special fancy ones, and most of them are signed, because I got to go to this amazing event in 2013? No, 2020. I don't know, something. It was the 10-year anniversary of the Grishaverse coming out, and I went in full cosplay. I met her. It was like the coolest event ever, and I brought all of my books.
Amazing. I love when I go to signings and I see that. Like it's like, no, I'm not wasting this opportunity. Here they all are.
It's in full head to toe, like fancy cosplay. And I'm like, here's my books.
Yeah. And little did that person know she one day herself would be an author signing books.
I think I told her because she published her first book when she was 35. And at that point, I think I was 34. I don't know. I was substantially younger than I am now. And I was like, I feel very inspired by the fact that you just randomly wrote a book, and it was your first book, and you were 35 and it blew up. Like, that would be my goal.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, if I knew there was going to be a huge amount of success on the back end, I'd sit down and write 12,000 words right now. It's the uncertainty and the fact that I know so many authors for whom this is a very expensive hobby. And I don't need any more expensive hobbies. So.
It's really fun though.
I know. And I so appreciate that I get to play in that world. But I'm not quite ready. I don't know. I am doing more creative writing now than I have in a while, but I'm definitely not at the point where I'm like, yes, people read this thing. So, but yeah. All right. Last round, card 1, card 2, or card 3?
3.
If you could talk to one species of animal, what would it be?
Cats, because I have a lot of them. Mm-hmm. And I would just like to have a conversation in which I was like, the food will come. Like, chill out. Stop trying to kill each other at 3 a.m. You're fine.
Yeah.
But I also am really curious, like, what the tarantulas have to say.
Yeah.
I want to know what they think.
I think the cats was the right answer though, because I'm getting a sense that we are similar in some ways, and the vibe of a cat would be something we would be interested, especially if no one else could hear what they were thinking and saying, and it was only us. We could just be like, "Oh my god, I heard that cat."
Like, sass.
Yep.
Do you see her shoes?
Like that was vicious. I approve. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to do this, Heather. I really appreciate it. And it was lovely meeting you. Yeah. And thank you, listeners, for joining us for Queers and Quills, the official podcast. If you're already signed up to go to Queers and Quills this year, make sure to say hello to me and to Heather at the Oregon Convention Center in May. And if you're not, follow Queers and Quills on Instagram to follow along with all the fun this year and get updates about ticket availability in the future. Until next time, I'm Kirt Graves, and I hope you're having a very gay day. Queers and Quills, the official podcast, is produced and hosted by Kirt Graves, in coordination with Mahogany Mail and Marley Valentine. All copyrighted material is shared with permission. Music and sound effects are licensed through Storyblocks Audio. All opinions shared are those of the individuals and do not reflect the positions or policies of any company or organization with which they happen to be associated.